Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our LinkedIn job searching class. We're going to wait just a minute to give everyone a chance to get settled into the program and join us today. Before we begin, as we are letting everyone get settled today, I am going to take just a moment to go over some of the features that we'll be using during today's program. With today's program, I will be using my own LinkedIn profile to demonstrate, and we may share some additional resources in the chat with you as well. Most of today's content will be on-screen demonstrations through LinkedIn, but we do have a few PowerPoint slides that we can reference as well. My name is Jamie. I am a librarian with the Plano Public Library, and I'm joined today by Jess, who is available to help with any tech support questions you may have, and who will also be handling information as it comes through the chat. During today's class, you will be muted and your video is blocked, so you're only going to hear me or Jess and see my screen. Should you need it, at the top of the screen, you should be able to see an exit full screen option, and you can use that if you'd like to get to other things on your device, such as your own LinkedIn profile during today's program as well. Now, during the class, you are welcome to ask any questions that you might have or have us repeat information at any time. You do have a couple of different ways that you're able to do that. You can use the chat feature, which you should see two little speech bubbles that look kind of like a text icon that says chat to open up the chat window. Or you should also see the option for the Q&A window. Either one is fine. Both of those options are set to be seen by library staff only. And we will use those to either answer you directly in the chat or Q&A or to pass the questions along to me as the presenter during the program. A recording of today's class should also be available in a couple of days for you as well. So if you'd like to just watch and follow along and go back and review that content later, that is an option for you as well. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said earlier, my name is Jamie. I'm one of the librarians with the Plano Library. And a quick caveat as we get started, I am a librarian, not a business expert. So my job today is to share some information that's an overview with you. It's designed to be helpful during your job search, but I'm not an expert. I can't give you one-on-one individual advice for your job search. Our goal today is to explore networking and job searching on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about some tips and strategies to optimize your LinkedIn profile for active job searching, as well as strategies for connecting and networking. We'll also spend some time exploring tips and tools for searching for and applying for jobs through the LinkedIn platform. Because of time constraints today, we are not going to go through actually creating your profile. We're not going to talk about building a resume, and we won't talk about posting or sharing original content. If you are interested in any of those topics, we do have some previous class recordings that you can reference or some additional LinkedIn classes coming up in this series as well. So just to recap, like I said, we're going to review those tips and strategies. We'll talk about strategies for connecting and networking, explore those tips and tools for searching and applying for jobs, and review those additional job search tools available to you. Now, before you begin actively searching for jobs on LinkedIn, it's a good idea to make sure that your profile is optimized for your job search. And we're going to start today by exploring some of the tips for preparing your LinkedIn profile. If you've been on LinkedIn for a while, you may have heard that term all-star profile when referring to profiles on LinkedIn. You may also have seen the profile strength meter. These are all things that LinkedIn uses or has used to measure how competitive your profile is compared to other users on the site. In general, you tend to be rated as beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, or all-star. That language sometimes changes. The way they display it for you as a user sometimes changes, but it's basically a way of telling you, do you have information that makes a potential employer want to look at your profile, want to learn more about you as a candidate? In order to have a profile that stands out, there are 8 key things that we're looking for on the profile. The first one is going to be your profile photo. Any profile on LinkedIn that has that photo is 20 times more likely to get a profile view. So that photo is going to serve as your first impression to potential employers. You'll want something that's professional, well lit, positive, and most of all, recent. You want it to actually look like you. You'll also want to make sure that you have a professional headline. Now, just like all of the other information on your profile, your headline is going to be searchable. So you might want to include information beyond just your job title, such as some of your key career highlights, your overall mission, or your goals. As a starting point, if you're not sure what to put into that headline, look at job descriptions for the keywords and skills that come up the most often in your industry, or review the headlines of other people that you know or who have the job that you would like to have. You'll also want to include your industry and location information. This is going to help match you with opportunities. So you'll choose an industry that represents your overall career. It may not be your exact job title, but think of the broad umbrella for the type of job that you want to have. For your location, you'll have some different options. You can be very specific and say, I'm based in Plano, Texas. However, you may want to choose a broader geographic area, such as saying Dallas, Fort Worth, to get a wider range of potential opportunities and connections. Ideally, you're going to have your current position plus at least 2 previous positions posted as part of your work history. The more experience you include, the easier you're going to be for people to find in searches, the more keywords you're going to have, and the more achievements and specific examples you can put as part of your description. You'll also want to have at least 5 skills. Fun fact on putting skills on your profile, profiles that have 5 or more skills are more than 30 times more likely to be contacted by recruiters. So thinking of 5 things that you're really good at or that you want to highlight about yourself as a professional dramatically increases the visibility of your profile and your likelihood of making connections. So you want to look for skills that highlight your strengths and also relate to important keywords found in job postings. You'll also want to include an engaging summary, and this is where you can really market yourself to potential employers. There are 3 different things about your summary that can help it stand out. The first, having an opening statement summarizing your skills and experience. The second, having a few key points from your achievements that we can pull out without having to go through all of that job experience. And the third, a closing statement about the types of opportunities that you're most interested in. So think about it kind of as a mini paragraph to tell recruiters who you are, what you do, and why they want to get to know you. You'll also want to include your education information if you have any. When applicable, including that information can help you connect with alumni from your school or others who are interested in the same things that you are. It can also help showcase your credentials if you're a recent graduate or a current student. And finally, LinkedIn sets that goal of having at least 50 connections. The larger your network, the more opportunities that you're going to have. So as you start building your network, think about things like your email contact list, your previous employers, or your current colleagues as a starting point. Do we have any questions on that before we move on?
I'm not seeing any questions right now, but I will say I did add a couple of links into the chat for the LinkedIn access and our YouTube page.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is optimizing our profile. So now that we know kind of what that all-star profile looks like, what we want it to have, we're going to talk about some practical changes that you can make to optimize your profile as a job searcher. These tips can help you make the most of your LinkedIn profile as you start job searching. And I'm just going to talk about them really briefly here. Then we'll go ahead and pop over to my profile and see what it looks like in practice. So the first one is to keep your profile updates turned off. This is a personal decision. You can choose to do this or not, but having those profile updates turned off means that your preparation for your job search doesn't have to be shared with everyone, especially if you are connected to a boss or a colleague. If you're not ready to share that you're actively in the job market, turning those updates off lets you be a little more subtle about making changes and saying, this is going on, check out my profile, and have people ask questions about why you're doing that. You can also create a custom profile URL, which makes it easy for you to remember and share your LinkedIn profile as part of job applications, cover letters, or even on your resume. You can use the featured section and content sharing features to build an online portfolio of work, which is a great way to showcase concrete examples of your skills. And finally, you can show recruiters that you are open to opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and switch windows here so that you can see my LinkedIn profile. And we're going to talk about what some of these options actually look like. So, first one, keeping our profile updates turned off. This is something that you're going to get to through your profile settings and security. You're going to access that by once you're logged into your LinkedIn profile, looking up in the top right corner. You should see, if you have a profile picture, a tiny little picture of yourself, and underneath it's going to say me. When you click on that, you'll be able to get down to the settings and privacy menu. It's going to be right underneath where it says account. When I click on settings and privacy, it's going to open up that separate settings menu for me. And then on the left-hand side, you should see a little eye and the word visibility. When we click on that, it's going to bring up the visibility of my profile and network, which is where I can make the changes that I may want to make. And I can see what profile viewing options I have, who can see my last name, how discoverable my profile is. And if I keep scrolling down, I'm going to see the option for visibility of your LinkedIn activity. So right now, my profile is set to share job changes, education changes, and work education, work anniversaries. That's all set to on. If I didn't want people to know that I was making changes, I would just click on that and select the little slider, and it's going to go to off. And that would let me make any changes that I wanted to in those areas without it going to my network to say, Jamie made a change to her profile. Once you're ready to make those changes visible again, you can always change that back to on. So it's very personal. You can have it on or off as much or as little as you'd like. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my profile. And we're going to talk about a custom profile URL. Now, from my homepage, again, I can either click on me and go view profile, or if I go over on the left-hand side where I see the little preview of my profile with my picture, my name, I can also click on there and get to the same option. And this is going to pull up your profile where you would make any edits, see what's going on, and make those changes. Now, to edit my public profile and URL, I'm going to go over on the right-hand side. Right up towards the top, there's a nice little box that says public profile and URL, and there's a little pencil next to it. If I click on that pencil, it's going to take me to my public profile settings, that first box on the right, where I can edit my custom URL. So I already have one in for my name. If I wanted to change that, I would just click on that little blue pencil again, and it's going to open up where I can actually type and put in what I'd like my custom URL to be. So it can be 3 to 100 letters or numbers. You can't have any spaces, symbols, or special characters in there. In general, you want to choose something that's easy to share and remember. You'll see that a lot of LinkedIn users use their name, their initials, or their job title when they're doing this. If you had a small business and you wanted to brand yourself that way, you could also use that business title as an option there. Once you've chosen what you'd like, you'll just hit save. and that will apply the change to your profile. And now you have an easy profile to be able to copy, paste, and share. Now going back to my profile, let's talk a little bit about our featured section. So our featured section and any type of content sharing is a way for us to draw attention to our content, to our work samples, and the things that we do. On my profile, once I scroll past where my basic information about me is, past my About Me section, you'll see what's known as the featured section. Now, if you didn't have that on your profile, you should be able to click the button for Add Profile Section, and it should come up as an option for you to add it in as well. Your featured section will let you highlight any kind of work sample, post, or other information that you would like to. So on mine, I have, just as examples, an article that I wrote, a post that I've shared, and you can see these are the things that I want people to see about me on my profile. To add something in there, all I would do is click on the plus sign, and it would give me the option, add post, add a newsletter, add an article, add a link, or add media. Once I choose one of those, it's going to walk me through the process of adding in something new. So if I did media, it's going to ask me to upload the specific file that I wanted to add. If I were to do add a post, it's going to search through all of the posts that I've created on LinkedIn and ask me which one that I want to feature. I would find the one that I wanted to feature and just click on the feature button. If at any point I didn't want to feature that example anymore, it was no longer relevant, it felt dated, I could come back here and click Remove from Featured and take it back off of the list. If I was just here on my featured list, again, that pencil icon will let me see everything that's featured. I can also reorder things up and down, edit, or delete them as needed. And like I said, this is a great way to show people things that are particularly noteworthy about what you're doing, what you're sharing, what your brand is, what your skills are. If you didn't want to feature it as a main item on that featured section, you could also add in samples to your work experience as separate entries. So for example, here under the city of Plano, you see this little light bulb icon that links to an article about a presentation that I did. And I put that with the job that I had at that moment so that it linked specifically to that work instead of putting it in my featured section. Both are options. They're just ways to add a little extra besides just the text that you're putting in about what you do to highlight your skills. And then finally, the last thing that we mentioned on this section was that showing recruiters that you're open to work. And this works for recruiters or potential employers. Super easy. When we scroll all the way back up to the top of our profile, right underneath where our profile picture is, you should see a blue button on the left that says Open To. When I click on that, it's going to give me a couple of different options. Let me scroll that down just a little so we can see a little better. And you'll see finding a new job, hiring, or providing services. So in this case, we're going to assume that we're interested in finding a new job because we're talking about job searching today. When I click on that, it's going to give me some options to specify the type of work that I'm open to doing. So I can add in specific job titles. I can say if I'd like to be on-site, hybrid, or remote. I can add in locations where I'm interested in working. And then I can also say things like, do I want to start immediately? Or am I just casually seeing what's available? And finally, you'll have the very bottom down here, which is your visibility, which is either letting all LinkedIn members know that I'm open to work, including people that I already work with, or limiting it just to people who are using LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a separate LinkedIn feature, which helps keep it a little more private so recruiters see that you're open to work and maybe not all of your colleagues, but keep in mind it's not a guarantee that someone at your company is not using LinkedIn Recruiter and going to see you pop up in a search. So keep that in mind before you choose to say that you're open to work, but that is an option to put a little bit more visibility. If I did that for all LinkedIn members, I'm going to hit save so we can apply those changes. Let me add in a job title. And now you'll see on my profile, I've got that open to work frame added to my profile as well. So anyone who is searching, who happens to pull me up by name, is going to see right away that I'm open to work and interested in being contacted for opportunities. When you were no longer interested in doing that, you can take that badge back off by using that little pencil icon to edit. I can switch it back to recruiters only, so it's not as visible, or I can completely delete that off of my profile, and it's like it never happened. All right, any questions on optimizing our profile before we move on to building our network?
So we do have one question that came in. It's asking, can you explain again why you might want to edit your personal URL?
Absolutely. So when you set up your LinkedIn profile to begin with, you're going to get an automatic URL, which is going to generally be a lot of random letters and numbers, which is fine. And you can still link that, but it doesn't make it very easy to show that it's you. So when I do my LinkedIn URL now, it's linkedin.com/in/my name. So people know immediately when I share that link that I'm sharing my profile. It also makes it really easy for me to remember and type it if I need to share it, if I wanted to put it on a website, if I wanted to put it on an application, or if I wanted to put it on the top of my resume. It looks very clean and professional because it's got that LinkedIn and then my name, easily branded, easy to find. Does that answer the question?
I do believe it answers the question. Oh, she said yes. And I don't
Perfect.
have any other questions that have rolled in.
All right. I'm going to pop back to PowerPoint for just a second then, and we are going to talk briefly about building our network. Give that just a second to catch up for me. All right. So when we're talking about building our network, we're talking about building that community of people that can help us find the next job or the next opportunity. Building your professional network is a crucial part of connecting with those potential opportunities. So these are just a couple of things that you can try to get started. The first one is to join professional groups and organizations. So your profile likely already has the individuals that you've connected with, but groups give you an opportunity to connect with a wider audience. And you can look for groups that relate to your industry or interests, really wherever you can contribute to the conversation. You can also find and follow companies and industry leaders. Connecting with companies you'd like to work for lets you see updates from them, what's going on in the field, possibly see when a job opportunity is posted. Or if you're following industry leaders, you can see the things that are trending in your career field. And that can jumpstart not only your ideas for sharing content or looking for new jobs, but your opportunities to connect with those jobs as they're available. We're also going to talk about personalizing your requests. So as you connect with other LinkedIn users or ask for recommendations, this personalization lets you build relationships and provide a framework for future conversations. So we're just laying a foundation to be able to have a why behind our ask, which makes people more likely to want to engage with us or to provide that connection for us. And finally, we're going to talk briefly about posting and sharing content because sharing your thoughts, ideas, and projects is a great way to connect with other users and draw attention to your own skills. We're only going to cover this very, very briefly as a you can do this and here's how. If you would like more information on that content creation piece, in 2 weeks, we will have a class dedicated specifically to content creation options on LinkedIn. So we're going to pop back over to LinkedIn. And we're going to talk about those professional groups and organizations. Now, if you have worked with LinkedIn at all, you know that we've got this search box up in the top left corner that lets us search for different things. And we can search for individuals, we can search for jobs, but we can also search for groups. And these are spaces for professionals of a particular industry or shared interest to connect. Think of them as just community forums for building connections and information sharing. You'll want to look for groups that match your industry, your current role, your professional goals, or your customers. And this gives you the opportunity to build your network outside of those people that you immediately know, those people in your contact list that come to mind. It also increases opportunities for future engagement and lets you build your professional brand. So let's say that I want to find a group about libraries. I might search library, and when the search page loads for me, I have the option on the left to specifically select groups. And this will take me down to the groups related to my search term. It's going to give me some top options. As you can see, it's defaulting to show me something that has a lot of people in it, but I can also choose to do see group all group results so that I can see additional options. Now, if you've joined groups, your search is going to look a little different than if you haven't joined anything at all. Because you'll see from these top three, it's giving me the option to view posts. That lets me know that I'm already a member of those groups. I don't need to join them. If I was interested in joining, that's going to switch to saying join instead. And I could click on that to go become a member. If I'm not sure if I want to be part of a group or not, I can click on it to learn a little bit more about it. And each group page will have not only their name, but the number of members, but there'll be a little bit of information about the group where I can learn the industry they're associated with, how long they've been around, and also how often members post to give me an idea. Is this an active group or is this something that's not really very active that I'm not going to get a lot of information from? If I decide from that I'm interested in joining, then I would just click on that join button. I will also have the opportunity to see things that LinkedIn suggests for me as groups. So when I click on the My Network tab across that top navigation right next to your home, pretty much in the middle of your screen, you should see two little people in My Network. Not only do I see all of my connections, but I can go down to groups and see all of the groups that I am a member of, as well as on the right-hand side, groups that I might be interested in. And these are things that LinkedIn is going to suggest based on your profile information, based on your work experience, based on the types of things you're interacting with or that you've said you're interested in. They may or may not be relevant, but they can give you some additional ideas without searching. Then to access any of my groups, I can just click on the group name and pull up the page. Once you're a member, you'll be able to see all of the content, and you'll notice it looks very similar to what your newsfeed does when you're already on LinkedIn. So you'll be able to see posts that are available from different group members. You can like them, you can comment on them, you can follow individuals or link over to individual profiles as well. You will also have the opportunity to invite others to be part of the group with you. So if I found a great library group and it's got a lot of great information and I want to share it with somebody, I can actually invite them to come be part of the group with me as well, which is a great way to build that back and forth of information sharing. Now, let's talk briefly about those companies and industry leaders. We would search for them the same way that we would search for a group. So I'm going to go back to my homepage. and go back to my main search bar. I can type in a company name or an individual name just as easily. So if I'm interested in Tesla, I can type that in, and if needed, if it doesn't automatically give me a company, I can use filters on the side to help narrow that down as well. But this very nicely popped up Tesla right away for me, and I can see that they have the company page. Now, if I'm not sure if this is what I'm looking for, all I need to do is click on the name of the company. I can open it up and see their individual company page, make sure, yes, this is the company that I want to know more about. What it will then give me the option to do is click that blue follow button on the left side. If I do that, I will start getting updates from this company in my newsfeed, just like I see updates from the people that I'm connected with. So if they're sharing posts, I will be able to see it. I will have those highlights. I can also look through and see, do they have any jobs available? Cool. They've got 3,554 job openings. It could be that one of these is something that I'm interested in, and I can search them or I can browse recently posted jobs. I can also create a job alert specific to this company. So if this is the company that I want to look for, I can create that job alert so that I get notified anytime that they post a job so that I can go look at it. I can also see people who are associated with the company and learn a little bit more about them. So I can see where they live, where they study, as well as if I keep scrolling down, people that I might already know, which gives me an opportunity to connect with or message people who could be connections. So if I know that I want to work for Tesla and I know that I might already know this person, I can go ahead and start connecting with them to see if they can tell me more about the company, if they can give me any tips for interviewing, if they know about any jobs that are coming up. It's just that building your professional network in a different way. Following people would be just the same. I would be searching for an individual and saying, is this a person that I want to see their content? Now, what you should see in general when you pull up that profile is you're going to see that same follow button. And that is going to let you get that individual's content in your newsfeed without necessarily being a connection with them, which works really great for industry leaders because chances are you don't know them, you don't have that personal connection, and they may not be willing to add you into their network. But this way you can still see the things that they're talking about, that they're sharing, and be part of the conversation. Now, most importantly, if we are reaching out and asking people to connect with us, we want to personalize those requests. So to be able to do that, the first thing we have to do is find the person that we want to connect with. And let's say that I know Priscilla and I'd like to be able to connect with her, but I'm not sure that she's going to remember me. When I click on her profile, if I don't immediately see that connect button, then I'm going to click on more and I'm going to look for the option that says connect. And it's going to give me that option in a pop-up window and say, do you want to personalize your invitation? And I'm going to say yes by clicking add a note. And this lets me put in a brief little message to Priscilla to say, this is how I know you, or this is why I'm interested in connecting with you. So I could say something like, we met last month at a library networking event. I really enjoyed talking to you and I'd love to connect. Or I got your name from my friend Jess. She says that you're a great industry leader in libraries, and I'd love to learn more about your experience. Would you be willing to connect? Once I've typed that in, this button is going to light up blue, and I'll hit send. And that will go to Priscilla with that background instead of just a random, this person wants to connect. It gives you a little more humanity behind the request so they know it's coming from a person and not just an auto-generated request. All right. Do we have any questions on building our network?
I'm not seeing any questions at this time, but this is a good reminder that if you do get a question, throw it in the chat and we'll be sure to answer it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions.
Perfect. All right. As I mentioned, we are going to talk really, really quickly about posting content, which is just something that you would do from your newsfeed. And I'm going to summarize that up by saying right at the top of your newsfeed, dead center, you should see a box that says start a post. And this would be what you would use if you wanted to share content with your network. Once you click in that box, you'll have the opportunity to put in your content, add media, create an event, add hashtags, and post to your network. This is a good option if you would like to let people know about what's going on in your career, an exciting work project that you're working on that really showcases your skills, and help make yourself a little more visible on LinkedIn. Like I said, we will have a class in 2 weeks that talks about that a little bit more. But for now, we're going to pop back over to PowerPoint and we are going to talk about maximizing our job search. So we've got a profile that's good to go. We've got a network full of people that we can connect with who may help us get that next job. But how do we find the job that we're looking for? While you may be contacted on LinkedIn for job opportunities through people in your network or through recruiters, you may also want to search for and apply for jobs on LinkedIn as well. While we're doing that, a few things to keep in mind. You can narrow and filter your search results. If your search is too broad, you might have a hard time finding something that resonates, that says, yes, that's the job I want to have. But if our search is too narrow, we might not find anything relevant. So we're going to have to be creative and strategic in how we search. You can also create job search alerts for relevant searches. What that will do is let you save the search strategies that are working for you. So when you know these particular keywords work well, this particular job title really gets me the type of positions I'm interested in, you can set up an alert so that you know when anything is posted that matches those specific criteria. You can save jobs for future review and action. So even if you only have 5 or 10 minutes to look at potential opportunities, you can save them and come back to them. You can apply for jobs using your profile information so that everything is ready to go and auto-populates if it's available through LinkedIn. And you can also utilize additional tools like interview prep available through LinkedIn as well. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in practice. Starting with narrowing and filtering our job search results. When you are searching on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will search the job title and the content of the job description. So you can try a lot of different ways to find what you're looking for. If you're not seeing what you want, try a synonym, try a different keyword. So if I try searching library and I don't get what I want, I could try librarian. I could try library worker. I could try library services representative and see if those job titles did something different to give me a better search result. But I'm going to just use library as my example here. And then I will start by looking just at jobs. Now, once you have done that, you'll be able to automatically filter with a few small things by saying, you know what, I just want remote. I just want easy apply. I just want positions with less than 10 applicants. But if I want to see more options, what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on see all job results in the United States. So I get this whole jobs page. And I've got 2,639 results right now, which is a lot of entries for me to scroll through and try and find what I'm looking for. And this is where I can start applying the different filters. So You'll have options like date posted. So if you want something very recent, maybe I only want to see jobs that have posted in the past week. Okay, that helped. Now I'm down to 1,500 results. Still a lot to go through. Maybe I want to look at experience level and I want a director or executive level. When I apply that filter, now I'm down to 108 jobs. Okay, maybe I want to say I only want full time. When I go under all filters on the right side, I can choose full time as an option. I can choose, you know what? I only want to see things for Dallas, Fort Worth, Richardson, because I don't really want to move too far. I have a lot of options. I can even filter to the specific job title if I want to. I can choose the number of applicants. I can put on as many or as few of these filters as I want, and then see what kind of results that I get. Now, as I apply those filters, underneath, it's going to show the number of results that I'm getting down to. So now I'm down to 10 results. That suddenly came back to 17. But when I do that, I have 17 options that I can now look through and have a better idea of, yes, these are the type of jobs that I want. If I like this search, we talked about alerts. All I'm going to do is switch that toggle on, and that will turn my job search alert on for that position and that search. If I don't want it anymore, really simple to just toggle it back over again. Are there any questions about that filtering process or anything else so far?
We do have a question that came in. And this is the question. I notice you don't have a premium subscription. Is that necessary when job searching? Is the standard or free subscription just as effective?
So choosing whether or not to have a premium subscription is a very personal decision. Personally, I have never used a premium subscription because I can do everything I want to do with LinkedIn without it. Your free account is going to let you connect with people, it's going to let you search for jobs, it's going to let you post and share content. Premium will give you additional options as far as connecting with users farther out of your immediate circle, providing more personal connection requests. For instance, a free account is limited to 5 personalized requests outside of your close network in a month, whereas a premium will give you unlimited. But it's going to be pros and cons of what you want to invest in your job search, and if you think it's going to give you additional features that you feel like will benefit that job search. So, do you need it? I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm going to say explore the features available, see what it's going to give you, and see does that feel like it's worth the money to you. But in general, I would say start with that free account, see how it works for you, see if you're getting the results, and go from there. And if you're not seeing the results that you want, or you're not seeing the features that you want to use, then try premium through that trial period, see how it feels, and see if it's something that you want to go ahead and pursue.
Perfect. It looks like we do have another question for you. Can we set up multiple customized alerts?
Yes, absolutely. You can have as many alerts going as you want. So let me go ahead and I'm going to turn on this alert for library really quick. And then I'm going to do one for, I'm going to search cars. And I'm going to go ahead and set that alert at the same time. I didn't add any filters to this just because I want you to see what multiple alerts looks like. And once you've popped up an alert, you will have that option to manage alerts that will pop up for you. And you can see all of the job alerts that you have. And you can choose to edit or remove them at any time. So you could choose to have one going for librarian, one going for library, one going for cars, and you would get your notifications based on all of them. So if you find that you have multiple types of positions that you're interested in that you want to have multiple alerts, that is definitely an option for you. You can also, with that pencil icon for your individual alerts, choose how often you want to be notified for each of them. So you can choose to do daily or weekly, and you can choose to do email, notification, and choose whether or not you want to be notified of similar jobs if nothing matches your search for that particular week. If you decide that it's no longer relevant, then all you need to do is delete job alert, and you can stick with just the job alerts that are working for you. But you can have as many of those as you'd like while you're doing your job search.
Okay, I don't see any other questions at this time.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about job searches. Like I said, you can also do them to a particular company. So if you have tried searching by position title and that doesn't do it for you, you can go into a company and say, I'd like to see what they are doing. And let's say, and this may not let me do it because I'm connected. Let's say I'm interested in potentially moving to the city of Carrollton instead of the city of Plano. I can go under their jobs and I can do create job alert. And it is going to ask what kind of job title that I'm interested in and the job location. And so I'm going to want to be very strategic if I do a search that way because I need to be aware of the types of position titles that that company is going to use. But I could say, you know what, I want a librarian. And I'm going to go ahead and just say Carrollton because that's the city I'm interested in. And I could create a job alert based on that particular company. And it would then notify me if the city of Carrollton posted a librarian job in Carrollton, it would let me know. So if you're particularly interested in a company and a title, that is another option for your job searches as well. Now let's pop back over to our jobs. We're going to get that out of the way. On your jobs page, you'll see your preferences, you'll see my jobs, and you'll see interview prep. And the my jobs tab is where you will be able to see things that you have saved, that you are in progress for, or things that you have applied for. So if I have saved a position and want to come back to it, when I am searching for jobs, and let's just say I'm interested in this children's health position, I've got the option of apply and save. When I click on save, it's going to add it to my list and I can come back to it later. And that lets me go ahead and search and see when I click on that briefcase to get back to my jobs. Now, when I go under my jobs, I have that position available that I can get right back to it. And I can see, okay, I have more time to review the position. Do I want to apply for it? Is it something that matches for me? When I click on it, it's going to go back to that information very, very quickly. I can see the hiring team, I can see about it, and then I can decide if I want to go ahead and pursue applying for that job. If I have decided that it is no longer a good fit for me, cool. All I need to do is click where it says saved. To unsave it, it's no longer going to show up in my job search list. Now, when we did our original search for jobs, one of the filters that we had pop up was that easy apply. And that is A feature through LinkedIn that essentially takes all of your profile information and automatically fills out the job application for you. And you will see those represented by Easy Apply with a little LinkedIn logo as opposed to just apply. And if I was interested in one of those positions, what it's going to do is pull all of my contact information that I have from my website, or I'm sorry, from my LinkedIn profile, and it's going to walk me through uploading a resume and answering any questions that they have. But I'm not going to do the full application process necessarily that you would see if you were going through an external application where you're typing in all of the information because it is pulling it from your LinkedIn profile. So that is an option. I will caution you and say if you only search through Easy Apply, you are likely to miss out on some of those job opportunities because not every position is compatible with Easy Apply. A lot more positions are going to link you back to the organization's hiring page and have you go through their process. And the final thing that I'd like to show you in jobs is if we click back on that briefcase to get back to our jobs page, is underneath our preferences and my jobs, that link that says interview prep. And this is a super cool feature that can help you get ready for your interviews. Now, it's not perfect and it doesn't represent every career or job title, but it does give you a great way to practice. And what this does is give you some frequently asked interview questions. It'll start with the common questions, or you can go under categories by just clicking on that blue categories button on the left and see some different job titles that are represented. And then it's going to give you different interview questions that you might expect. So maybe you struggle with the question, why should we hire you? It's going to give you an overview of what the company is generally asking when they're asking that question. And it's going to give you the option to practice and get feedback. When I click on that button, I'm going to have two different options. I can either record a video or I can write a response. And this is me answering this question as I would in an interview. So I can record a video and see how I look when I'm talking to someone in an interview. Do I fidget a lot? Do I make a really weird face? Do I wave my hands too much to the point that it's distracting? Because I'll be able to see that video. Or if I want to write out a response, I can also do that and say, this is my response, blah, 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 whatever I wanted to put in. Once I hit save, I will be able to request feedback from others regarding that response. When I click request feedback, I can reach out to someone in my network. So maybe it's someone who I trust as a mentor. Maybe it's someone who has the job that I want to have. And I can say, this is how I would interview, how I would answer this question in an interview. Can you give me feedback and share that with them? And you can get some additional feedback about your interview response, tweak it, and feel more prepared as you go into that interview. If I no longer want to save that answer, I can always go in and delete the answer out and do it over again. Now, if I choose to practice and record a video, I'm going to get some AI powered feedback on my answer that's going to do things like tell me, am I using a lot of fillers? Did it detect any profanity? Did it detect any language that is potentially offensive or not inclusive? It will flag things like that and let you know, hey, this didn't feel quite right. And now it is AI powered, so it's not going to be perfect, but it is an option to get additional feedback on your interview prep and process. Any questions on all of that?
We did get a question um, about what is the value or purpose of the Verify Now badge?
So, Verify Now is a feature that LinkedIn offers in an attempt to help your profile stand out as a real live person and not an auto-generated profile. Essentially, what it's going to do is walk you through a verification process where you're going to provide some kind of proof of identity to say, yes, I am the person represented in this profile. And then people will know you will get that nice little check mark next to your name to say that you are verified. Um, so I did just to have that show up on my profile, I used my government ID. You're going to be able to show the front and back of your government issued ID. It's going to match that to the information that you've provided and the picture that you've provided and say, yes, you, you are a real person. Great. It's just another way of having your profile stand out as a genuine profile with someone actively associated with it. Do you have to do it to get jobs? No, you don't. Do you have to do it to connect with people? You don't. It is just another option to help your profile stand out.
Okay, and we do have another question. Should we include a pay preference?
A pay preference is definitely going to be a a personal decision on whether or not you want to include that into your profile information. It can help you narrow down potential jobs as far as this is what I'm interested in. And some of that information is shared with recruiters to say this is, in general, what this person is looking for. So it can be helpful if you feel like you're getting a lot of things that just aren't a good match for what you want or what you feel you should make in a position. However, on the flip side of that, if you do provide something and it's a very hard and fast number, you may miss out on the opportunity for that conversation and negotiation around what the pay scale could be, the growth opportunities, and it doesn't necessarily take into account things like your benefits package, paid time off, your work environment that may go into your overall decision on whether or not a position is a good fit for you.
Okay, I've got one more question. If you can just do a refresh on where you can see where your current LinkedIn profile URL is.
Okay, your current LinkedIn profile URL. I'm going to go all the way back to the homepage so we can walk all the way through it. So from the homepage, we're either going to go up into the top right corner and click on where it says me, or we're going to go over to the left where our profile picture is and our name and click on that to get to our profile page. Once we are on the profile page, we will be able to go over on the right-hand side, and you should see a little box towards the top that says public profile and URL. What is listed underneath is whatever your profile URL is currently. If we want to change it, we're going to click on that little pencil icon to open up the additional page. We'll see edit your custom URL as the top option. We'll click on that little pencil again, and we'll be able to put in the custom URL that we want and hit save to apply those changes. If for some reason it didn't work, LinkedIn would give us a lovely error message and say that the URL is not available and ask us to try again. We would put in something different, hit save, and your changes are applied.
Okay, that is all the questions I have for you.
All right, I'm going to pop back over to PowerPoint very briefly just to share a couple of last resources with you. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a couple of programs still left in our LinkedIn series. So on November 12th at 3 p.m., we will be doing a content creation class that's going to go into the different options available for creating content, whether it's posts, articles, polls, sharing images, and some of the best practices in content creation. And then on December 3rd, we will be going through LinkedIn Learning, which is LinkedIn's continuing education platform that allows you to do some self-paced video tutorials and exercises. It is available to you for free with your Plano Library card. So we will not only talk about the features of the platform, but also how to access that content for free with the library card. Now, if you would like some more one-on-one assistance with anything, whether it's LinkedIn in your profile or other library services or other questions you may have, we do have a Book a Librarian appointment service available. You can get to that through our website where you put in a request for 30 minutes of one-on-one time with a member of our staff. It's going to be based on your schedule, and we'll set aside that time to go through your specific questions and have that one-on-one help available. You also have access to LinkedIn Learning free with your library card with additional tutorials. You can find some great content on there as far as maximizing your profile, navigating LinkedIn, and using some of the services that we went through today, as well as Udemy. It's another virtual continuing education platform that we have available for you with your library card. Both of those are going to be accessible through the library website. And then finally, we do have our program recordings available on our PPL YouTube channel, which just shared the link for that earlier in today's class. You are able to go in and see past classes. You'll be able to rewatch today's class and see other tips and tricks for using LinkedIn and building your profile. And again, if you have any questions outside of today's program as well, my contact information is available up on the screen. So do feel free to reach out to us directly. We are happy to help in whatever way that we can. I do hope that today's program has been helpful for you. I will hang out for just a minute in case there are any last minute questions. But if not, thank you so much for joining us for our program today, and we hope to see you again soon.
I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session.
Perfect. Thank you.